I I don't even know what to say. It's honestly impressive. I I don't know how they did it. He's terrible. I'm somebody that wants to be optimistic. I want to really like this character, but they somehow made him worse from the pizza beat alive. I don't know how they did it, but it happened. If you guys don't know, they did a couple changes to him. I'm going to try to go over these. For one, he has move speed penalties when he's throwing his knives. If he pulls up a single knife, even before he starts throwing, he goes slower than Nurse, 3.68 meters per second movement speed. Nurse walks at 3.85, so he goes slower than Nurse when he has one knife in his hand, and he goes progressively slower the more knives he throws. At 30 knives thrown, he goes to 2.68, which again, Nurse is at 3.85 when she's just walking around. Goes down to 2.68 meters per second when he throws more than 30 knives, which is pretty much just standing still. And so if you try to use your power at any loop, you just essentially can't. Using your power at any loop, you'll get a couple knives into somebody maybe, and then they'll just keep on running forward and make distance. And because your spread is so such a big variable with throwing knives, because it hits left and right, and they can dodge at a distance. You unless somebody just like stays at the tile for no reason, then you're not going to be able to get very many hits with this. It's going to take so long to catch up to the survivor when they make distance because you're a 110% movement speed killer and you just can't catch up. So, like, this just needs to be taken away. This needs to be taken away completely. There needs to be no movement speed penalty for throwing knives. That his knives aren't that crazy to where he needs a movement speed penalty. Completely get rid of this. It doesn't make sense. Beyond that, also, if you guys don't know, his main event, his ultimate ability, he actually throws knives faster, 1.6 times faster. And so this also applies to his main event ability, to where it makes it to where since you can throw out a billion knives during his main event ability, you essentially are a sentry gun. If somebody goes around the corner, then they're able to make distance and get away, and you're just so slow you can't even catch up when you're in your main event ability. And they also made it to where the main event ability, you're automatically throwing knives, and because of that, it overrides any other prompts, and so you can't vault whenever you're in your main event ability. And you're forced to throw the knives, which means that you're forced to stay in that one position and be super, super slow, and there's nothing you can do about it, which is a huge detriment. It's just better not to use the power, especially considering at the main event ability, only lasts 10 seconds, of course. It has a 10-second cooldown. It takes 1.5 seconds to activate and 3 seconds to deactivate. So 1.5 seconds to activate, as soon as you press control, 1.5 seconds in order for you to even begin throwing knives. 1.5 seconds, of course. And at that moment, when you press control, you start going less than Nurse speed, 3.68. And so they have 1.5 seconds while you're going slower than Nurse to get around the corner and be able to break line of sight. You start throwing knives and you start going progressively slower and slower and slower and slower. They manage to gain distance while that's happening. And then after you get out of your ability, you have a 3-second stun after you're done throwing your knives to where they can gain even more distance. Again, you're going slower than Nurse during this time. Slowly speeding up. And then you have 10 seconds where your power is disabled. You can't throw knives. They just take away your ability to throw knives for 10 seconds after your main event ability is deactivated. You just can't use them. So it's better not to even use his ultimate ability, because his ultimate ability robs you of your power, slows you down to a crawl, making it to where the survivors can gain insane amount of distance, which is hard to catch up on anyways because you're a 110% move speed killer. Can't catch up as fast. And you're just so inefficient because all these cooldowns. There's literally, you have the cooldown deactivation time, and then they have a cooldown for your cooldown, the 10 seconds where you can't throw knives afterwards. It makes no sense at all. It just... It doesn't make sense. Why did they do this? It doesn't make sense, dude. If they... Oh my god. I would be fine with the activation time. I actually think that they should half both of these. If anything, I think they should make this instant, and they should maybe make this like 5 seconds. Why not? Make it instant. When you activate your ability, you instantly start throwing knives faster, and the deactivation time is make it 5 seconds. I'd be fine with that. And then they need to completely get rid of these. And then they need to take away... Your main event abilities shouldn't automatically throw knives. You should be able to vault when you're in your main event ability. And you should be able to pocket it. You should be able to pocket it like Oni's ability. Imagine if Oni's ability, as soon as you got blood, you were forced to use it. Every single time. You couldn't strategically use it whenever you wanted. That would suck. You should be able to actually pocket your main event ability and be able to use it whenever you want, instead of it just being like, oh, you better use it right now, otherwise you're gonna not have it anymore. Because that sucks. It makes you feel like you have no control as killer. Every time that it's available to be used, it's not a good opportunity to be used, and if you use it, then people get away, and it's more of a detriment. So they need to be able to give you the ability to pocket, get rid of the movement speed penalties, reduce the cooldowns on his power, on his main event ability. Somebody from my Twitch chat suggested that maybe, like, for each knife that you hit, you progressively go faster instead, to where, like, maybe like going up to 120% movement speed, 10% faster. If you hit like so many knives within like such a short amount of time, then you start going faster and faster and faster, making it to where you can catch up sooner. Make, like, kind of promoting accuracies, because if you hit a bunch of knives and the person gets injured, then you have that 120% movement speed buff, where you can just actually like zoom across the map and get back to that person and start throwing knives on them again. That would actually be really cool if there was a stackable benefit for hitting people with knives instead of a penalty throwing knives. A penalty for using your power. That would be amazing, and that would help out with a lot of his issues. So maybe like reverse this. Maybe like instead of maybe instead of it going down by 1, maybe he stays at 4.2 and then it starts going up. When he starts throwing knives and hitting people. I don't know. They need to do something. How? I'm so surprised. I still have points in the archive that I have saved that I just haven't put into them because I'm so disappointed. I don't even know how they managed to do this. What's even the point of the PTB? What's the point of the PTB if they just give us something like this? This wasn't how he was in the PCB. Why did they make him worse? Why did they nerf him? People said he was weak at the PCB and they made him weaker. It doesn't make sense. It honestly doesn't. I'm super flabbergasted. I'll have some gameplay of some games that I did okay with that I'll post either today or tomorrow. I don't know, guys. Fuck this. What's going on? Oh my god. See you guys later.